You know what this is. It's none of your business. It's none of our business. But tell us all the things that you have witnessed. Every grimy thing that you've been in. It's not our business. Forget it. Let's hear about your business. Or the trials that you lived with from the ground up. Please tell me how you did it. Welcome, my friends. It's none of your business. It's none of our business. Forget it. I'ma ask anyway. Give me play by play of how you paved your way. How a simple idea changed the whole freaking game. Somehow became a source of steady pay. What would a young you say? Told about today. How the gods are gonna freaking change. Would you believe in the dream or not believe a thing? Like what is this? It's none of your business. None of your business. None of your business. None of your business.
What's up, guys? It's Friday morning. It's the None of Your Business podcast, and I just want to appreciate everyone tuning in. This Friday, it's Brad Oldhouse, like I said, with Social Flicks and Helena. We're recording today in the top floor studio in Helena, so, I hope you guys enjoy Brad's message and what he shares to the world.
Now we're going.
Right on. All right.
Awesome.
Sweet. So we're ready to rockin'?
We are rocking. Look at this.
Facebook Live is probably like what is going on right now.
What's up, Facebook Live?
All right. So this is the None of Your Business podcast. I'm Robert DeLude, and who are you?
My name is Brad Oldhouse.
Brad Oldhouse. All right. So what do you do?
I'm a videographer in Helena, Montana.
You're okay. So how did you get into that?
I fell into it.
You fell into. You want to elaborate on that?
Yeah. So let's see. I moved to Helena in 2013, and my first job in town was with the Helena Bighorns hockey team.
Okay.
And my job was basically to figure out why a building that seats 1,950 people was only getting 200 people per game.
Yeah, totally.
So I hated social media. I wanted nothing to do with it. I just had a public relationship on Facebook that went totally wrong.
Okay.
So I was viscerally hating anything social media, but I knew if there was going to be any kind of growth out of that first year, we had to engage our core fan base who was present on Facebook and Instagram.
Yeah, for sure.
So I just started playing with it. And all I had was an iPhone, and that's actually a setup that was far more advanced than I even had.
Oh, really?
I started just taking videos of the players, right? Just a little get to know the players kind of thing, and then putting it out on their Facebook page and Instagram, and created a Twitter account for them and everything. So that first year, those videos just started doing really, really well. And they weren't highly produced. I literally shot it on my iPhone and edited it in Windows Movie Maker.
Okay.
But little by little, more and more people were showing up as the content kept getting shared and commented on. So by the end of the year, we broke a 7-year attendance record, and then we broke that record 3 more times throughout the playoffs. And I knew I was onto something. I was like, well, in essence, this hockey team is a small business. There's no reason that this can't help other small businesses. I have proof of concept. They don't want to pay me any more money than they did last season, so I'll just go and do this on my own.
Yeah.
So that's really where it started. And at first, it was a social media consulting business that I had started called Imagine Bound Media, which, as you can tell by the name, was a total cluster F. I don't know if you're allowed to swear on your show.
No,
but,
yeah.
You
can say fuck. You can say whatever the fuck you want.
It was a total clusterfuck. But,
all right.
So, the video thing just kept with it. And more people were like, you used to do that stuff for the Bighorns. And, well, yeah, I did. So, and then I got a camera, and that opened everything else up. And before I knew it, I was shooting video for small businesses. And then the following year, the Bighorns made me a very big offer to come and do video and social for them at once. And so I was like, well, why not? So that's really what kicked it all off.
Okay, so what's the name of your company now?
The name of it is called Social Flicks.
All right, so why'd you decide to go with that name?
Well, as I said earlier, Imagine Bound Media is kind of a mouthful.
Yeah.
I had imagined it as being a portmanteau, smashed together word of inbound marketing and imagination. Kind of like the whole Cheez-It thing.
Gotcha.
But I found that by the time explaining to people what Imagine Bound Media was, I had already lost them at the name because I had to explain the name. And then I'm shot for confidence in terms of talking about my business.
Yeah.
And I had a notification pop up from Netflix on my laptop one day. And, you know, I get these every day. But for whatever reason, this hit me at the very moment that I needed it to. I was like, okay, wait a minute. Netflix is video, or Netflix is literally movies on the internet. Well, what I'm doing is I'm creating videos for social media. So that's how Social Flicks came to be, was, okay, that's the idea.
Right on. When I saw the name, like the sticker in your window in your office, I was like, that's a cool name.
Yeah, well, it was very fortunate circumstance how I came across it.
Okay. And then, so you got Social Flicks going on. You got this studio going on.
Yeah,
so how
side
did
hustle.
Like, what you want to talk about that?
Yeah, man. So when, you know, I told you I was working with the Bighorns in 2013, 2014, I also wanted to get into podcasts. And so I started the Snapchatters podcast, and it was basically a tutorial of how to use Snapchat. So the idea would be somebody could listen to my show and open their phone and learn how to use the platform.
Okay.
I started interviewing influencers and started really moving some land with it, which was a surprise to me. I didn't think anybody was listening. And eventually, I landed a certain influencer that had a very large audience. Before I knew it, I was getting offered sponsorship for my show. And next thing you know, I'm off to San Diego on a full, you know, paid trip to go to Social Media Marketing World. I've got this brand that's paying me to make content, and I'm recording podcasts. That, like, it was just an amazing experience.
Cool.
But I was, you know, and I think this is a good lesson for anybody listening, is you don't need this fancy stuff to make a show, right? Like, if you've got passion, I had $200 worth of gear. That's it.
Yeah.
And a nerd-like capacity to want to tell stories like this. So, but I was like, one day I would just really love to have a studio where people could come and just make their shows if they want, right? Like, granted, I could only afford at the time that $200 mic set and mixer and everything else, but man, I really would have loved to have, you know, some decent mics. I really would have liked a decent space. I would have, you know, I had all these what I'd like to haves. So I came into an opportunity where we could make something like this happen. And so now it's just a space where people like us can come and create as they like. Yeah. And that's a really cool feeling.
Like, the studio is awesome. I don't even want to sit in these chairs. Just, I don't want to break anything.
No, man, break it. This is for you. This is for us. This is for people that want to do something fun.
Yeah, no, it was just cool. When I first came in here and Ed was showing me around, and I was just like, man, this is super nice. One day this is what I want my setup to look like. Like, for sure. Like, that one day that I was texting you, I had a lot of coffee and no lunch. And I was like, that's a bad idea. Don't do it. I'm a sellout. Da, da. Oh, no. And then after I ate lunch and came to my senses, I'm like, wait, no, let's use the room. Like,
why not?
Why not?
Give it a shot.
Yeah, that's give it a shot. Man. That's where you want to record. That's where you're going to be most comfortable. So why not? Like, and I get to see the difference in quality between my previous recordings and this one. And,
sure.
I might be in here again.
That's awesome.
So,
that'd be cool.
So, I appreciate you letting us use this room. This is pretty awesome.
I'm just jacked that we're doing this, man. Yeah. This is like this moment is the realization of that dream several years ago. Like, having, a professional podcaster in here shooting this show with me, and I get to be on, like, that's a super big honor, man. Like, I'm tripping out.
Well, I don't think I'm a professional, but thank you. I appreciate it.
All right.
Cool. So, you've been doing this for a couple of years, or more than a couple of years. Like, why do you do it?
Oh, boy. That why took me a long time to figure out. I think for the longest time, I was trying to be what my family wanted me to be. Brad, you got to go to school. You got to go, to college. You got to get a great job. Live the American dream. That's what it's all about. And when I was a kid, the only thing I wanted to do when I grew up was draw Spider-Man comics for Marvel. That's it. Like, that was my whole thing. I loved to draw. I was a super creative kid. I could sit in my room with a box of Legos for hours and just construct and deconstruct. I was just a creative person. And that never really left me. But somebody told me along the way, well, being an artist is a fun hobby, but you'll never make a living out of it. You need to learn trades. You need to, go to school.
Stuffing you in their category that what they want you to be.
Right. And it was really defeating. And I think I spent the next, I've been working every day since I was 15, right? So, I mean, I've worked in all kinds of different industries. I've been in retail. I've been in restaurants. Just working my ass off with a good work ethic, thank God. But, knowing the whole time that it just wasn't for me.
Yeah.
So my why for doing all of this was because it makes me happy. And I can use that, 8-year-old, 9-year-old Brad Oldhouse that loved to create and pretended he was a Ninja Turtle all the damn time. Like, he can live and thrive and actually feed himself and put a roof over his head and now feed others. And it's really been an amazing shift, and it was a hard shift to make. It was one thing to realize it, but it was another thing to act on it, and the acting on it was the hardest part for sure, but I'm glad I did.
Hell yeah. Dreams do come true.
You got to make them come true.
Yes.
You got to go after them.
Yeah. Anybody can do it. You're not just well, you are anybody.
Yeah,
nothing special about you.
For sure.
Well, there is something special, but
no, in terms of humanity, right?
Yeah.
It's. I think I just have that. I've got kind of that fuck you mentality to the establishment that was my life, and I think that was finally the pushing force behind me to actually act on what I wanted to create for my life.
Yeah, I hear you. Everyone, since I was growing up, you can't do this, you can't do that, you can't do this. Mm-hmm. And I was never happy. I've worked from janitor jobs to office jobs to everything in between. And I'm like, I fucking hate this. And then when I had my detailing business, I was working 16-hour days cleaning cars, but I loved it because I was working for myself. And two, doing something that I was passionate about. Well, not passionate about, but I like a clean car, and I knew how to do it. And I was like, I'm working for myself. I'm traveling around the city, the state.
That's awesome.
So, unfortunately, mobile detailing business in Montana wasn't quite there yet. Maybe in Billings it would work. And if you want to deal with shitty used car salesmen, on a moral level, I couldn't do it anymore.
For sure.
So, and then it kind of went under, and, I went through some personal struggles there. I went back, I slipped back into addiction. Eventually, this last summer, I was living on the streets in Las Vegas, in and out of my car, getting shot at, everything that my family thought was going to happen when I move away pretty much happened.
Oh my God.
And I barely got out of Las Vegas alive. And now I'm here, and I'm like, you know what? I've been so afraid to do a podcast because I'm afraid of what people will think. Do this. And I finally, I had a $50 Amazon gift card, and I was like, fuck it, I'm gonna buy some mics. And I've upgraded my mics from then, but I was like, fuck it, let's go on Amazon and see what I can get.
Nice.
And I just started recording my friends, people, whoever, and now it's still growing and forming the way that my dream my podcast is, but it's a learning curve.
Absolutely.
So what kind of personal struggles or struggles in your business that you want to share that you've gone through?
Oh geez, how much time do we have?
How much time do you got?
Boy, personal struggle, man. I thought my call to greatness that could still make the establishment happy was being a professional hockey coach. So I'm actually a level 5 USA Hockey certified coach. I could be on an NHL bench just by qualifications, not by playing. Believe me, I did not have the talent to play the game at the highest level.
Tell people how to do it.
But I understand the game and the X's and O's and the strategies of it, and that got me pretty far. A lot of personal adversity came out of that. The life of a hockey coach is not easy. I had just gotten married and took my first coaching job in Canada, and that turned out to be a hoax. So I had moved all the way to Toronto, Ontario on a hoax. And I'd spent my savings. I'd spent our savings. My wife and I spent our savings.
Yeah, for
moving
sure.
myself up there, getting things ready to go, traveling and recruiting kids. By this time, I had recruited about 8 kids for my new hockey team in this new league in Toronto. And meanwhile, I had mentors of my own in the game saying, you should probably not do this. And I just wasn't going to listen, right? I was
Yeah.
like, nope, this is my call to greatness. I'm going to do it.
Yeah. Going to Canada? Fuck you guys.
Yeah, that's it. So there's a common theme here. Maybe Brad's got a little bit of a rebellion issue, but so I'm in Canada, and my wife flies up there with her mom, and we just have this big come to Jesus moment. Like, this is not cool. While I'm in Canada, I get the phone call from another team that I had applied for in Oregon, and I just realized I've not told this story publicly. So I'm like, well, that's an opportunity. And, so I contacted the families that I had recruited and kind of let them know what was going on and the whole situation. I told them, hey, I'm going to this team in Oregon. These kids are more than welcome to come with me. We'll figure this out with the law and everything else as we go. So they were really gracious and they came with me, but my wife did not. And so I spent an entire hockey season building a franchise that was brand new without my wife there. And in that first year of marriage, that's a pretty tough ask. My marriage did not survive that.
Oh, wow.
And it didn't stop there. I kept pursuing the hockey dream, just had to keep doing it. And eventually I landed in Phoenix, Arizona, coaching under 18 kids under the age of 18, excuse me. And it was a team funded by the Arizona Coyotes in the National Hockey League. And we were practicing out of their practice facility and playing our games there. So I was like, you know what? That's my step. If I'm going to make the NHL coaching staff, even as a video coach, like the lowest level coach I could possibly be, like at least I'd have an opportunity because there's an NHL club in-house. So I figured it as the last straw, the last opportunity. Well, the NHL lockout happens, and my team is funded by the National Hockey League.
Oh, okay.
So if there's no money coming in and everything is shut down, there's no job. There's no team, there's no travel, there's no nothing. So, and I had no recourse for this. So I'm stuck in Phoenix with this realization that this hockey dream is officially fucking dead. It's cost me my marriage. It's cost me a large chunk of my life. And I'm meant for something greater, but clearly this isn't it. A month later, I end up in my dad's camper here in Helena, Montana. That's how I moved here.
Okay.
I was sleeping in my dad's camper, trying to figure it out.
Okay.
And when the opportunity with the Helena Bighorns came along, I had the opportunity for the first time in my life to express my creativity.
Okay.
So I think that's really where the first bug really hit me. So yeah, man, there's been a lot. There's been a lot of personal struggle, but now I use that to kind of move me forward.
Yeah, for sure. Like, we all have personal struggles, and I feel like, especially in Helena, like, nobody wants to open up and be real and be vulnerable, be authentic. No, like, because Helena, I feel like, is such a PC town, and, like, especially with legislation and whatever, like, nobody wants to open up and show who they really are. Like, oh, you're depressed, let's take a pill. No, it's okay to be sad. Like, I'm not saying don't take meds.
Right.
But also, like, it's okay to feel. It's okay to open up. Like, it's funny, the man therapy. Like, why do we have to call, like, literally it has to be called man therapy? Like, that's cool that, like, if guys are going to man therapy, whatever, they're going, they're opening up. But, like, why do we got to put the stigma on this stuff? Like, why, like, I've struggled with anxiety, depression. Like, I ended up in the ICU because I overdosed this July. Like, I'm not perfect.
Right.
And, like, I just want to find people who got inspiring stories in business or in life. And how did you overcome that?
Sure.
Be real about it, you know? Like, fucking, there's so many filters on Instagram and Snapchat.
Yep.
Why do we got to put a filter on our life?
Yeah.
Like, it's just, like, be real,
100%.
And, like, I can't trust someone who isn't being real. Like, I know people who just like tell these bullshit stories, and I don't even like being around them.
Right. Because you
Like-
can smell it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, fuck. Like,
Yeah.
be real. If you're mad, tell me.
For sure.
Don't fucking beat around the bush. Like, if you don't want to, like, if you don't like me, that's cool. If you think my podcast sucks dick, tell me.
Right.
Fucking, it might suck dick to you, or tell me what I can improve on.
Sure.
Like, fuck. So, like, I appreciate you sharing those struggles with me, man.
Oh, thanks for
And,
asking.
You know,
Thanks for creating a safe space for me to do so.
I think you created the space.
All right. Well, that said, I'm still appreciative that you were receptive to it.
For sure, man. Not a lot of people want to open up to that stuff, and I think, like, the mission that me and my guests are on, like, just open up, be vulnerable, show who you are. Like, I was listening to this podcast this morning, The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes.
Yep. Lewis Howes, love him.
Yeah, yeah. Me too. I found him like a couple months ago, and I just absolutely fell in love with his deal. But he had like a segment on this morning. I think it got released this morning, that like leadership comes from love. Did you listen to that one?
I haven't.
Oh, I forget what it's called, but it, like, they have like a Marine on there and like the Army code, or I can't remember exactly what they said, but basically leadership comes from love, not from dictate.
Right.
Like, had examples about like how like we're like one of the only places that you can go to the president's house, and like at a dictatorship, you can't. They got barbed wire fence. You can't do that on. I thought about that. I was like, you know what? Like, that's right. Like, whatever your opinion is about the president, whatever. That's it. But just the fact that that's how we're set up, and so many people look up to that, and I just really admired that about him.
Yeah.
And just what they said.
I'm going to have to check it out.
Yeah, it's really cool. So, do you have any morning habits that you do, or nightly habits that you do for success?
Not really. I think they change. How about that?
Okay.
I've had a really good run at going to the gym that lasts for about 3, maybe 4 minutes. And that's it, right? So, like,
Okay.
that's clearly not a routine that I can get into for whatever reason. I've had a gym membership now for a year, and I've fucking gone once for like 4 minutes.
So you're donating.
So, yeah, exactly. I'm
you write
keeping
that
the
off on your-
Broadwater, like, open, right? Like, we don't see this dude, but we still get his money.
Fair enough.
I think my routine's really, I'm a morning person. So I'll set my alarm for anywhere between 5 and 5:30.
Okay.
And the first thing I do is first of all, go make some coffee, go out and have a cigarette. And that's a bad thing, but that's part of my routine.
Hey, whatever.
You asked.
Yeah.
And
I used to wake up and boil heroin, so
well, see, there you go.
it wasn't like success, but that used to be my morning habit.
Right. So, but what that morning does is it helps me go over my to-do list that I created the night before.
Yeah.
And kind of start grounding, all right, well, what are my first steps? I'll go back upstairs, coffee's ready, I take a shower, get dressed, head to the office. I'll be here at the office for about, 2, 3, 4 hours, and then I'll go out shooting a video or whatever I have in that particular day. So my routine, if I had to break it down, is I do make lists. And I do that because I'm ADD and I have a terrible memory thanks to all those concussions from hockey. So I found that making lists keeps everything in order. And but I don't have like a specific routine that works for me every morning, unfortunately, outside of smoking with a mug of coffee.
Well, everyone does it differently.
Sure.
Do you have like anyone that you like look up to that may be famous or not famous? Like
Sure.
any mentors that you want to talk about?
In general, or that have routines?
In general.
Oh,
like,
sure.
Who you go to? Like
What?
for advice,
That's
or
a
like
great
who do you
question.
read, or who do you listen to or watch?
I think what set me into this world that I don't get much of his content anymore because I'm too entrenched in my own work, but Gary Vaynerchuk is somebody that like definitely motivated me. And just looking at Gary doing his thing, I was like, okay, well then if he can get away with doing that, I can certainly do my own thing.
Yeah.
But it wasn't until I read Lynchpin by Seth Godin.
I haven't heard of him.
Basically, the premise of Seth Godin's book, Lynchpin, is we live in a society where our schools and our jobs were all formed during the Industrial Revolution, not even 100 years ago, right?
Okay.
Or barely over 100 years ago. So what it's designed to do is to teach kids how to be obedient so that one day they could go and work in the factories. Well, the linchpin is somebody that becomes so valuable to their company that the company can't survive without them. And sometimes that linchpin doesn't even work in that industry anymore. He goes out and does his own thing and creates his own deal, blah, blah, blah. So it was a super inspiring book. I ended up finding Gary Vaynerchuk out of a YouTube search for Seth Godin. Because I had to get more stuff from Seth Godin. So and if any of your listeners are into business or anything else, if you've not listened to Seth Godin, he is a marketing genius and a very, very awesome dude at the same time. So Seth Godin is a super nice guy. But so Seth Godin, Gary Vaynerchuk, boy, I'm into listening to audiobooks and things like that. Latest audiobook was Unfuck Yourself.
Unfuck Yourself.
Yes, that was a great book.
Who's the who wrote it?
Gary Patterson.
Okay.
John Gary Patterson. He's Scottish, and he narrates it, which makes it all the more fun.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Yeah, exactly. Because when he says fuck, he's like, don't fucking be like that with yourself. Are you kidding me? Would you talk to your 12-year-old self like that? Well, then why the fuck are you talking to your 22-year-old self like that? Or your 40? Fuck that.
Oh my God.
It's amazing.
I'm going to have to check this book out.
Dude, I'll send you a link because it was so great. So, but those are people that had a major influence. I do have a local business mentor named Joel Silverman that has really kind of guided me through the X's and O's of business.
Okay.
Kind of how to structure my company so that I can sell it off, which is the goal. And he's been absolutely incredible with helping me in those purposes.
Right on. That's cool.
Yeah.
That's cool. I think having mentors or podcasts or whatever, or it could be YouTube. Just because I'm doing a podcast, I'm not saying everyone should listen to a podcast. But
for sure.
Yeah, just like having those, where I can seek advice.
Absolutely.
Because I don't know what the fuck I'm doing.
Well, and there's almost always somebody that's gone ahead of you.
Exactly.
That can, is more than happy to send the elevator back down, so to speak, to help others out. You know what I mean? And that ultimately is what I would love to do one day further down the road, whatever that's 10, 15, 20 years, is maybe I can help people, in the areas of life where I really needed help and didn't have it.
Yeah, for sure.
What I mean? So
for sure, that's cool. I admire that. That's awesome.
Yeah, thanks.
So,
if I live that long, I got to quit smoking.
Fuck it.
Right.
Whatever. If you die, you die. At least you die happy.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely right. You're totally right.
So, what's your message to the world?
I remember you asked me, and the answer hasn't changed since that day you asked me. If I could give anybody anything, would be the permission to do what you were meant to do, despite the establishments within your life, your parents or other family members, a professor or anything, wherever the pressure's coming from. If you're not being true to who you are inside, you're not going to be happy and you will rot from the inside out. At least if you're happy doing what you love to do, and maybe you make some money out of it, but who cares? It's not about making money. It's about making yourself happy so that you could look at yourself in the mirror and be proud of who's looking back at you.
Right.
And whatever it takes to get to that point, please do it. Don't just... I don't know how to help people break free from the establishment that's holding their lives back, other than to say, I've been through the pain points. I know it's scary. You're going to have a hard conversation with mom or dad or ex-wife or whoever it is that you are afraid of their opinion so much that it paralyzes you from moving forward. You've got to have that conversation with them. And you've got to, and that will open everything up. Just do what it takes to bring your idea, your passion, whatever's calling you inside, do what it takes to get that out to the world because you have it for a reason. The world needs it, and only you can give it. So that's what I would give it.
Fuck yeah. Fuck yeah. I love it.
Yes.
I love it. You know, fucking just speaking your truth, and, you know, encouraging people to go do whatever the fuck they want.
Yeah.
So I love it. You know, since you have like the social media company and stuff, do you have like 3 tips for somebody new that might be listening that you could pass on, or like just some advice that like the 5 years younger version of you
Sure.
could know? Something like that.
That's great. Yeah. There's all kinds of stuff. I'd say number 1 is persistence. There's going to be people in the marketplace that they're just not going to buy your stuff, right? You know that you're social media expert, and you're an expert for a reason, because you're constantly a student of the game, and you're constantly learning along with these platforms, right? So there'll be somebody out there that will pay you for that. Don't be afraid of the people that tell you no. Just keep moving forward. I think that held me back a lot in my first 6 months to a year. Was the no's were just crippling.
Yeah.
You know, I got tired of it. And I would, so be a student of the game and take no for an answer. I had another one in the front of my head, but my ADHD brain just eliminated it.
No, I hear you. We should have closed those blinds, because when somebody walks by, I'm like, ooh, squirrel. So,
That's funny. You know, persistence pays, obviously. So don't be afraid of no. Stay a student of the game, and try something new, right? I think people around Helen are just now finally coming on board with Snapchat for business, right? We know that Snapchat has been a major player for business for a couple of years at least in other larger markets. But now it's starting to finally make its rounds here, you know. So, but don't be afraid to taste it before everybody else does. You know what I mean?
Yeah, totally.
Create the account, try it out. If you like it, great. If you don't, it's okay. You don't have to keep it. You're not going to be less of a social media nerd for not liking it. My bane of existence is LinkedIn. Like, I viscerally hate LinkedIn. But there's been a lot of changes with LinkedIn lately.
Yeah, the
And
algorithms, the platforms.
Yeah. So now, obviously, video. Geez, how long did it take them to like adopt video before, like after everybody else? So, but now with all of these changes, I'm kind of starting to taste it again a little bit, right? So don't be afraid to try new things.
You know, I like it. I tried LinkedIn, and I'm on LinkedIn just, you know, because I wanted to contact like executives.
Right.
That I normally wouldn't, but the platform's just so fucking boring. I tried, I'm not here for the fun, but like, this is goddamn so boring. Fuck.
Yeah.
So I'm not on LinkedIn as much as I was a couple months ago, but it just.
And that's okay.
Yeah. And that's okay. Yeah.
You know?
Absolutely right.
You tried it, and you know what I mean? And I think that's what separates the winners from the losers, is the ones that go out and try it. Right? If you're just going to read a headline like Gary Vaynerchuk says and make your opinion based on what the article says and that's it, well, you're probably going to lose to the guy like you or I that is out there actually trying. Right?
Yeah. You know, 2 days ago, when I realized that I was just headline reading, when I found out that that guy did not buy Instagram, I'm like, what the fuck? I always preach don't headline read. And then I fucking did it myself. If I looked anywhere in the comments, if they said April Fool spelled backwards and everyone else was saying, oh, that's a great April Fool's, I'm like, holy shit, he bought Instagram. Like,
that's great.
I just like felt like such an idiot. Like, oh my gosh. Like, but you know,
we're human.
Yeah. It was a good reminder to fucking don't do that shit.
Right.
I like 3 days later, I realized that like, oh, that was April Fool's.
Sure.
Fuck. I'm sure the emails that I sent, they're getting a good laugh, but
that's awesome. So, well done.
Yeah, that's the only thing I can do is laugh about it now. Like,
absolutely.
I dwell on like, oh my god, I feel like such an idiot for you.
It's fun to laugh at, and that's it. There you go.
They made it so convincing, though.
This will happen.
Yeah. It was a good April Fool's, that's for sure.
Nice.
Right on. Well, you know, do you have any last words you want to share?
Thanks for having me. This is an honor. Thanks for letting me come on and share a little bit more of my story and awesome questions, and thanks Facebook Live World. And
I don't think Facebook Live. I think everyone
bogged out, but
That's all right. If you want to, if people wanted to use SocialFlix or hire you, like,
Oh, sure.
how do they contact you?
The best way is through Instagram at SocialFlix. That's one word, 2 X's, SocialFlix. You can just slide into those DMs, and I'm happy to talk to you guys about what SocialFlix could do for your business.
Cool. Right on.
Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you, Brad. I
Thank
appreciate
you.
it.
Yeah, this was, again, an honor. Thank you so
Oh,
much.
yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah.
If you're thinking about all the days you could have erased, picking up sticks that you burned along the way. If you don't always get you wet, don't fret, there's another day. Guide yourself to this maze of a maze. I've never seen someone like you, and I've never seen the sky so blue. If you know what we're talking about, get up on the mountain and shout. You'll be rewarded for the deeds you have sought. You wear a crown upon your head to show the shame you have shed. I'm not a junkie, waiting upon the corner, expecting a little help from you. Making extra large, right, but doesn't come with a shake of the side. The answer, hold no juice. And if you're looking for yourself, it's in the glimpse of the crystal ball. Gone without a chase, it's a song we can sing all night long. That's right, we're cashing in. 'Cause if life is just one blink, you better fade it with the stars. Why you always think it's shot in the dark? And if your presence decides to stay, we're both gonna party all day Saturday down the good old bar. Your freak show, where is the peep show? Walking down the streets of a lonely town. Where are the creepers down at the deep of the song we can sing all night long? From truth, rhythm, drums and the bass, we're coming from Montana and it's all over your face without a doubt. You sing it out, you better make a choice and sing it out loud. You'll be rewarded for the deeds you have sought. You wear a crown upon your head to show the shame you have shed. Just one blink, you better fade it with the stars. Why you always think it's shot in the dark? And if your presence decides to stay, we're both gonna party